and this quote pops in my head. And the quote is from George Bernard Shaw, and it's that life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And in that moment, I'm looking at the doors and I'm going, when I enter this university, nobody knows me. So I can actually be whoever I want to be.
Hello, Jody.
Hi, Patricia.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on the Break Time with Patty show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm so good. Honestly, I'm grateful that you're creating this space to be able to share love and share insights to all your people in your audience. And, I'm just really grateful that you've invited me on. So very humbled. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so happy you took some time of your busy schedule to be here. Dear friend, where do I begin? The first time I met Jody in person was at the World Championship of Public Speaking this last August 2022 in Nashville, Tennessee. And we connected immediately. It was as if we had always known each other. We had exchanged on social media a bit on LinkedIn, I believe. That was the platform. But anyhow, let me introduce Jody Dontje to you without delay. Number one, Jody is a master communicator and a voice activation coach. She is in the top 28 speakers globally, a TEDx speaker, and a professional coach who is passionate about empowering heart-centered leaders to overcome their fear of public speaking and become confident, purposeful, and inspiring speakers. Number two, Jody is a business leader. She built a successful six-figure speaking and coaching business in less than 15 months, and since then has supported thousands of leaders globally with her proven voice activation formula. Oh. Number three, finally, she is a woman on a mission to help 1 million heart-centered leaders to truly own their voices with confidence, step into their aligned and authentic selves, and manifest their dream lives, businesses, and careers.
Yay!
Okay, I've talked enough. Let's get started. Jody, can you share with us how it was like to be in your shoes as a little girl and as a teenager, please?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question because people often see me for the first time when I'm on stages or speaking confidently, and they think, oh, maybe she was just born with this confidence. She was, made to be a speaker. Look, let me tell you a little story. When I was in primary school, I was in art class and I loved art. I thought it was so powerful and creative. And I was sitting there and the teacher said, okay, everyone, we're going to be drawing each other's faces today. And I thought, great, that sounds wonderful, right? So I got partnered with my best friend, Jaylee, and I'm sitting there and I start sketching her. And, I drew the curve of her forehead, the curve of her nose, the curve of her lips. And I showed her and she was like, great. So I was like, well, awesome. And then we swapped and Jaylee drew my face, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking around the classroom and I'm thinking, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure a lot of us are going to look pretty much the same when we get that picture up the side of our faces back, right? And then Jaylee pushes the sheet over to me of my picture and I pick it up and I look at it and my heart just drops. I'm just feeling this overwhelming fluster of heat. And I'm looking at this picture and I realized that she drew me with a flat face. And I thought, hang on a second. Why do I look so different to what her picture was like? And she's a Caucasian, big nose, kind of out. And I am more of an Asian, kind of half Asian looking person, child. And I didn't know that at that time until that moment. And I looked around the class and I thought, I'm the only one who looks like me. And that was the first moment where I realized, oh, I actually am different. And how I internalized that as that young child was, oh, that means that's not good. And so I kind of withdrew actually from that moment. And then from that particular insight, I started realizing more and more how I felt different, how people treated me differently. I grew up And I moved a lot, but I was often in schools that were predominantly more, kind of Western looking kids. And I was often one of the most only Asian looking girls in my class. And so going to high school, we flash forward and, I'd been pushed to the ground, spat on, told I was a waste of space, a waste of air, told that I should go back to my own country. I don't belong in Australia. And that belief that I had from that moment in art class that I look different, that I don't belong, it just perpetuated. And I really, went through identity crises and started feeling like, well, wow, I don't really have anything to add. I'm just, I'm a nobody. I don't belong. And so that was actually a lot of how I really felt on a deep level as a child growing up. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you for sharing this.
You're welcome.
I can relate with a lot of things. I never felt like I belonged most of my life. So that I definitely can connect with that. Maybe that's why we connected so well in the beginning. I'm sorry that you went through those difficult moments. But that leads me to my next question is that what was the turning point that made you say enough is enough? I'm turning my life around, basically.
Yeah, great question. I'm so grateful for a day that I was just expecting to be, I don't know, more of a practical day rather than a truly internally transformative. So I just left high school. And as you heard, my upbringing, I didn't feel like I really belonged. And I moved to a whole new university where I didn't know anyone again, right? So it's the same pattern I felt, basically. And I was walking up to the university doors. And at that stage, I was quite numb often to my emotions in a way. And I was just walking up thinking, all right, I'm just going to go in, learn what I need to do, get top marks at the university if I can, come out as a teacher, and that's going to be it. That's it. And I still to this day don't know where I heard this quote. I still to this day don't know why it popped up in my mind in that moment. But I'm a few meters away from the university doors, and this quote pops in my head. And the quote is from George Bernard Shaw, and it's that life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And in that moment, I'm looking at the doors and I'm going, when I enter this university, nobody knows me. So I can actually be whoever I want to be. And it was this moment where I don't know if I've ever really before that point felt this spark, this energy. And it came up and I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to walk through those doors and I'm going to be who I want to be. And it was just this liberating moment. So I walked through the doors, I pushed them open. I look like a crazy person, I don't know. Push them open. The first person I see to my right is coincidentally my university mentor. Amazing how she was just right there. And I walked up to her and I was just like, hey, I don't know how, but I want to do something. I want to be more at this university. And that just opened this beautiful door, metaphorically, into me stepping into volunteering and humanitarianism and giving. And I'll share in a moment, but that's essentially where it led to me with public speaking. And so it all started with me realizing I can be whoever I want to be and choosing to go into the university with that mindset. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like a brand new slate. It's true.
That's it.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm very visual, so I really love that. Yes. Okay, so at this point, thank God you fell on the right person to guide you in university. So from there, I'd love to hear, how did your public speaking journey begin then?
Yeah, well, that turning point was, I wasn't expecting it to lead to public speaking at all. I was the girl in class that was so afraid to put her hand up because she'd be made fun of for a wrong answer or put down. And so I never on my mind did I think, oh, this is going to be my path, right? And this is why I want to share this with everyone, because we can create ourselves into whoever we want to be. If I can, we all can. And so this university mentor, she said, well, look, why don't you do volunteering? And I was like, all right, sign me up, right? And then I started to volunteer more than I ever worked for money. I started to give my time in so many different organizations, the AIM program to help mentor young Indigenous Australians to own their identity. I was doing the outreach programs, doing all these things. And that's where they said to me in those programs, hey, Jody, we've got this feeling you should lead this workshop. We've got this feeling maybe you should go and introduce yourself to these groups of people. And it was actually through service through contribution, through giving, that I lost myself in, like I lost those fears and those doubts. They disappeared. I just became so fixated on the missions at that moment that it didn't become about me. And so this fear of public speaking I had for years, it didn't even faze me anymore. I was just serving. It's like, how could I let myself get in my way when there's 150 new students entering the university and I'm going to be the one leading them into this new chapter? It's like, I can't make it about me. It's about them. And so that is when everything else is history from that point. People started seeing that I was quite natural at public speaking just because I was very into contribution. I got all these awards in my local area. I got to go to Parliament House and talk to members of Parliament. That led me to speech contests. I won the Women's Federation for World Peace in London. I got to speak in front of the UN and all these other places. And it was just this whirlwind of opportunity to public speak. And it was all just because I wanted to get the word out there about the humanitarian mission I was on and all these people I wanted to help. And it was not until years later that my beautiful partner, Melvin, was like, well, why don't you make an actual career out of public speaking? Right. And so it was really just out of service that I came across it.
Wow. That is the most wonderful thing I've ever heard. And, you know, I've heard things like this before, but this is why it's so important to use our voice, because it hit differently just now. The fact that you said it, and it's not about us. It's about who we can help, and then we become irrelevant almost. Well, we're not, but the point is we become irrelevant. It's just how can we help others and just drop the fear. Beautiful. And I met Melvin.
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to put up a picture there. This year, actually, in Nashville, as we said, Jody was one of the top 28 best speakers in the world out of 30,000 outstanding speakers. 30,000. And that's where I met her in person. I also met her wonderful partner, Melvin. And Jody shared a beautiful and inspiring speech. I loved every second of it. I was referring back to her grandmother, etc. Anyway, can you tell us a little bit more about the message that you wanted us to receive when you were on that world stage, please?
Yeah, so really to give you a bit of a background before I talk about the speech specifically, I fell into the very masculine-driven hustle culture when I got out of university, started following my dream of coaching. And so I believed that I needed to work, hustle, no time for rest, no time to stop, no time for adventure and joy. Like I just got to focus on my mission, focus on work, focus on giving. So the pendulum swung and I was so into contribution too far that I did forget myself completely out of the speaking as well. Like I literally just kind of forgot myself. And this is the lesson I want everyone to hear, is that it's so much more than when we lose ourselves in contribution. We can't actually lose ourselves in life, though. It's a different thing. We need to be completely connected to ourselves. And then in those moments of speaking, do we then contribute, right? But I'd gone so much into the hustle and contribution that one day I came back to Australia from having traveled and doing all these humanitarian projects. And I was sitting at the dining table with my grandma and we're playing a good old game of Monopoly, right? And I was obsessed with Monopoly. I was very competitive as a child and still when I was an adult. And we were sitting there and my high achiever part of me kicked in, right? And I'm gathering the money, I'm getting the houses and I'm like, yeah, you know, and I was very much in an ego-driven state. I was just like, I want to win this game. And then all of a sudden, my grandma lets out a scream and she's holding her hand. And I'm going, it shocked me out of this state of like egoism, I guess. And I just looked at her and she was holding her hand and she had very severe arthritis. And just by moving the dice, her finger kind of got stuck in a position. And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought she dislocated her finger, kind of freaked out. You know, she kind of massaged it, put it back into place, being the strong woman that she is. She's like, no, we'll keep playing. And I was like, okay, right. So we kept playing. I'm still pretty dedicated to win. I'm still feeling that. But there's something in my heart feeling a little bit off. And all of a sudden she lets out this other scream. And this time she's grabbing her leg. And I'm like, what is going on? And she's got this really severe cramp in her leg. You know, and my grandma, she's getting really old now. She's one of my favorite people in the world. And she has cancer. She's got blood cancer. She's got all these other conditions. And I'd forgotten about that. You know, I don't know, I just pushed it out because I was in such a hustle state. I pushed my emotions away and was in denial a lot about these types of things. And so she's grabbing her leg. My granddad runs over and consoles her. And I remember sitting there and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what is going on with me that I'm so focused on winning this game? I've got this moment with one of the most incredible humans that I have in my life, and I'd rather beat her than be with her in this moment. And I ran to the bathroom, I cried. It was like this epiphany just hit me. And so when I shared this speech on the world stage, the message I really wanted to get across to people is, please don't let it be too late before you open your eyes and realize how valuable living life fully is, and the people around us and spending that time is like, what game are we playing? Are we playing the short-term game of trying to win that extra money, that new job, that new promotion? Or are we playing the game of life? Are we playing the game of life, of human connection, love? Because really at the end of our life, when we're on our deathbed, what are we going to be thinking about? Not the money in our bank account. We don't want to be surrounded with money and holding money on our deathbed. We want to hold the hands of the people we love.
Yeah.
And then that moment changed me a lot. And that's why I wanted to bring that to the world stage. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the beauty of messages. Like, people think often that they have to go to the Himalayas and triple in a hole somewhere and be run over, be half eaten by a lion, and then they have a good story. But, really it's just a basic game of Monopoly. And I love Monopoly, and I'm extremely competitive. So another very relatable story for me, but it is about those little moments that you bring to life, because we extract lessons out of all of those. So I really loved your delivery, and it takes a lot of courage to get up there with all these people watching you in person and also virtually. So bravo to you. Anyway, you moved me to tears, I have to say, during your message. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. Since you're such an expert speaker, what would be your 3 best tips on how to become a memorable and impactful speaker?
Wow, what a great question. And I really want for everyone to let this land very deeply, right? Because there are so many public speaking tools and strategies out there. And what I learned over the years was just focusing on the strategies and the tools these people gathered, that we would gather, it still didn't mean we didn't feel like an imposter, that we felt inauthentic. People were gathering all these tools, doing all these courses with tools around public speaking, but they were still feeling not good enough. They were still feeling like they weren't powerful in their message or authentic. And I started going, what's going on here? There's all these people gathering tools, spending money on courses around public speaking, but they're not shifting as a person. They're not transforming as a human being. They're still just doing these techniques. And so one of the biggest tools I want for people to take away is part of my voice formula that I created, which is about helping people transform completely authentically in their life so they can speak and lead from a space of deep, deep connection. And I think this day and age, we need more of that. So the 3 big takeaways. Number 1 is we need to be clear on our own values as a speaker, our values in our life, but also our speaker values and our vision of what type of world we are trying to create with our voice. Because when we are connected to a bigger vision, when we're connected to something bigger than ourselves, in every interaction and every conversation, every presentation, every Facebook Live and every interview, there's an energy to us. There's this thing called charisma, which people they feel it. They feel when someone's charismatic. They feel like when there's someone that draws them in beautifully and magically. And that is part of that person being so connected to their soul purpose, their values, who they are. And so authenticity is a key in this day and age. So for me, vision and values, get really clear, everybody, on your vision, on your values, on who you are, what you stand for. Number 2, come back to that contribution mindset again. Contribution mindset has shifted me, but it's shifted the thousands of people I've been able to help now. They literally come back to me all the time. Oh my gosh, Jody, in this presentation I did, I just made it about serving. I just made it that I wanted to give the best value I could. And they were like, and it was the best presentation I ever gave. Because if you think about it, right, if we're like, oh, I'm worried, what are people going to think about me? What are people going to judge about me? What are people going to reject about me? We're making it about ourselves. But when we're getting up and we're speaking to share an insight with people that can change them, to give something new to someone, not to boast about ourselves. And so we build more credibility through that service too. And I think that's why a lot of people come to me when they just want to be more authentic, because they can feel that I'm up there just wanting to serve out of authenticity. rather than up there like, look at me, ha, I'm amazing, right? It's not about that. And so contribution mindset's everything. And number 3, as a big takeaway, I would say that in this day and age with the masculine hustle culture, with AI and all that too, we need to bring humanity back. All of us as human beings, humanity. And what is humanity? Well, look, I'll start with emotional intimacy, emotional connection, empathy, understanding people, the heart of us. And so one of the superpowers we can have as leaders and speakers is the power of human connection. Deep, radical, seeing someone eye to eye as who they deeply are, holding space for them as who they deeply are. Active listening, so just holding silence, giving that space. It's something that is so, so needed right now. If we look at all the wars in the world and all the segregation, that it's because people aren't hearing each other, holding and validating each other. They're just trying to push their own opinions out. They're trying to prove that they're right. And it's pulling us as a species apart. It's destroying the earth. It's causing mayhem. And so when we can come back to our heart and our humanness and our emotional connection, well, not only will that help us be better speakers and better leaders, but it can freaking change the world. And so really, everyone, as a third point, please build your emotional intimacy, emotional intelligence, your emotional connection skills, because that is what we really were brought into this earth to be experiencing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I just got a revelation over here. Oh my goodness. You know, I've interviewed many people, and it's funny, everybody always has their own spin on it, and everybody has value. They all bring value, but I have to say you've been to different depths right now with this response. Yeah. I've never had this kind of information. So thank you so much. I will be applying those. I'll be rewatching this interview all over again and taking serious notes. Thank you so much. My goodness.
Oh, you're welcome. You're most welcome.
You're amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
So there are a lot of my audience, they're Toastmasters members, and I would just like to ask you for them and also for myself. So whoever would there's a contest going on right now, okay, where there'll be about 30,000 contestants competing to become world champion speaker. And you've made it to that world stage. So I would like to ask you, what would be your best, and I'm sure they have to listen to your 3 best tips that you just shared, but what would be your best advice for them if that's what they have in mind?
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest pieces of advice is if you're trying to share a message, do not preach, storytelling, connect. Because what we don't want is on the world stage, someone coming up there and just telling people what to do, pointing the finger, going, be more bold in life, be more this in life. Instead of that, show how you have transformed on a journey and how you humbly learnt your lessons through your own ego mistakes, through your own, things that didn't work out. Share that message of your own transformation, and you take the audience on the journey to be transformed with you. People are way more likely to integrate a learning, to take on advice when we see, first of all, proof that somebody who's sharing it actually has lived it. But number 2, it's when we're engaged in storytelling, and I'm sure many people on these interviews have said this before, but we're from a society and a tribal, history of storytelling. And I'm from Australia. So we have over 60,000 years of Aboriginal and Indigenous history here. And that has been passed now, not from phones, posting articles and stories, but just through verbal storytelling, through the art of connecting, through the simple story and act of sharing something and connecting to somebody with that voice. And so if the Indigenous can, we can share stories that can last generations. And I believe that on a world stage, it's our responsibility even to share stories that deeply matter, and that could potentially change the world of one person, that could potentially change more and more people, that could change the world. And if you're out there wanting to get onto the world stage, number 1, please believe that you can, because it comes with that belief first and that desire to get a message out there. So lead with contribution with your message, right? And the big takeaway that I was coming back to is just tell a story. One simple message shows the transformation, take people on a journey, and show them the gifts of your own growth from that place as well. Yeah.
Whew, yes. Thank you. Amen. We're all getting an amen. Okay. So, all right. So you shared that it was after you became a humanitarian and started a non-for-profit movement in Nepal that you truly activated your potential. Can you share with us what was the most life-altering moment for you during that journey, please? Love to hear that.
Wow, look, there's so many. I'll take it back to the beginning of my humanitarian work. You know, one of the first times I went to Nepal to volunteer and make a difference. And I just left the school I was volunteering with, and I decided to take a nice scenic route back to my accommodation at the time. So I was walking down the hill and looking over the beautiful views. If anyone's been to Nepal, it's breathtaking. And, you know, I'm walking down in this village, and all of a sudden I see this kind of like shack. And there's a man and there's a woman and there's a kid sitting basically just in front of this shack cooking on a fire. And I realized, well, it's actually not like a shack, it's their home. Like it's actually where they live. That's it. That's what they have as their residence, you know, their home. And I was walking past and they looked up, and then I recognized the little girl that was with them, and that little girl was from the school that I was teaching. And she called out my name, Sandhya. My Nepali name is Sandhya. And she was calling Sandhya. And her parents looked up, and the parents didn't really speak English, but they recognized, oh, this is the lady who's volunteering in the school. And they were like calling me over. And they have very little. I mean, they have like maybe one bag of rice to last them, I don't know how long. And they're just getting by. And they insisted I stay for a meal. And they gave me like one of the only kind of eggs that they had. They cooked all these things for me, and they just made this beautiful meal. And I felt guilty like having that, but I realized I was giving them a gift from them giving to me, right? But that moment was transformative to me, because I was like, wow, these people, they have basically nothing. They have such little, bits of how they can survive and live, and yet they're so joyful, they're so full, they're so overflowing that they're giving me all of this beautiful food. And so in that moment, I was woken up into my privilege, growing up in a Western society, that's for sure. And secondly, I was overwhelmed by gratitude for the life I was being able to give. Like, yes, I went through the racism and bullying. And yes, as we journey on this healing journey for ourselves, it's important we mourn that and we feel that and we give space for all those challenging, emotions that we can go through as a child. And also, if we've grown up in a society where we have a beautiful roof over our head, we've got all these opportunities and these things, like, wow, that gratitude's got to be there if we want to grow and reach our potential, because it's gratitude that fuels more abundance and more impact and more all of that from a space of enoughness. So that was a big wake-up call for me. And that was the moment I was like, I'm going to keep giving. As I grow, I'm going to keep on giving, because I'm so grateful that I have this privilege, in that way.
Ooh. Yes, we are really blessed. And it always fascinated me to see that with so much of the world is really happy. They're satisfied. And then we have access to everything, and then we're not satisfied necessarily, right? Unless we tap into our purpose and why we're here on earth. But it's just beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jody, I'd love to hear about this because you fascinate me. Can you tell us a little bit more about your Authentic You Speaking Mastery Program, please?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm so grateful that from the journey I've been on, the humbling experiences, and they're both on the masculine and strategy side, and then the more feminine and emotional connection and deeper authenticity side, I was able to develop this formula that I call my voice activation formula. And so I help heart-centered leaders to overcome those fears and those blocks around owning their voice, and to become inspiring speakers, in their daily lives and communication, and also on those on and offline stages they want to be on to make an impact. And so my Authentic You Speaking Mastery is all about coming back home to ourselves. When we were a child, we were born with access to everything, every magical thing we could possibly experience. You've got a child, if they're happy, they're happy. They're feeling it, they're in joy. If they're sad, they're sad. We have access to all of these beautiful emotions. And when we get older, we start to go maybe more into the hustle, more into the masculine of the get on with it, get through school, get through this, get the grades, get this, thing, get this new car, get this new house. And we sometimes detach from who we are. We're more externally focused and less internally focused. And so my Authentic You Speaking Mastery program is basically a rebirth to coming home to ourselves. You know, people often tell me it's one of the safest communities they've ever been in. And I believe when we nurture an environment of safety and connection and non-judgment, we naturally come more into who we truly are. We naturally are willing to be more confident. We are naturally willing to speak more truth, speak more with passion, speak more with flow. And so I've cultivated an environment that does that. And then through my beautiful strategies that could hold that deeper transformation, the practical strategies that work, you know, I am a professional speaker, so I do have those strategies and those tips as well. I bring it all together. And then that's how, so people who come out of my Authentic You Speaking Mastery program, they're equipped with the public speaking tools, but they've completely transformed as a person, because I'm over the just surface level quick fixes. You know, I'm all about deeper transformation. So people leave the program going, I actually am bloody happy with life. I'm actually fulfilled. I actually feel passionate. I actually know exactly what I'm put on this earth to do. And then they're living life rather than just using the strategies to get by. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yes, and you just launched a new program, right? Because you've been doing this for a long time, but now there's a new program.
So the Authentic You Speaking Mastery one I've been running for years now, you know, fine-tuned it and grown that. And that's the program I'll keep running probably for the rest of my life. And also, I'm launching a new program now, which is specifically a container for about 14 women. And this container I'll carry on alongside my ongoing voice formula one. And this is going to be for women who are wanting to up-level their voice, but also their abundance in their businesses and their abundance in life. Because I believe that if we have more heart-centered leaders out there with abundance, leading from impact, we can make the world a much better place. And I really believe in that financial and abundance empowerment that can lead to the giving and the contribution as well. And so I've created this container I'll be launching very soon, to take these women through manifestation and coming back home to ourselves on a very energetic level, and then being able to have the tools and the strategies to have their dream businesses, purpose-driven businesses and abundance for their families and their lives. So exciting. So excited for it.
Yes, we'll be putting all the information in the description below, so please go check out her program. I want to have your life transformed. This is where it begins. So, okay. On that subject of transforming our lives, besides signing up to the program, what would be another best advice for someone who feels like they're not where they want to be in life, but they don't know where to start to find their purpose? What would you like to tell them?
Honestly, and this is not trying to do some kind of like, come and have support from me, not at all. Like, this is just general heartfelt advice. I really invite for you all to gain a coach or gain a mentor in some way, because I would not be the person I am today. I would not reach the level of abundance and impact, and I'm manifesting my dream life. You know, I wouldn't have done that if it was on my own. Absolutely not. It's been because of the coaches and the mentors who've helped me along the way. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way, because I thought I could do it on my own. And I would hear people saying, get a mentor, get a coach. I'm like, no, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spend the money on that. When actually it was like, well, what was it costing me not to? Because it was costing me, when I was not doing that, my life, actually, my joy, getting results way quicker than just pushing and pushing and pushing. And so for anyone out there who really wants to take their speaking and their communication, their life, their purpose, their joy, all of that, to another level, then we've got to be supported in a safe environment to cultivate that for ourselves. If we weren't taught that in school, if we weren't taught that in conventional homes in our upbringing, then we need to seek a new home that can give us those tools, that can give us those transformations. And so it's basically re-education. Everyone, let's get re-educated, with mentors and coaches that we vibe with, we align with, that we feel safe with, and know that we don't have to do it alone. And that takes vulnerability. And on the other side of vulnerability is all of our dreams. I truly believe that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is so important. It's very important also to find a good match, a good fit, because often there are a lot of great people offering services, some more qualified than others, but it's important to be able to connect and so I guess references does help to research somebody and see testimonies or testimonials of how somebody impacted somebody's life, because sometimes some people, got fooled by the wrong person. So it's very important to get the right person to connect with, right? So 1000% with you there.
Absolutely agree.
Anyway, I vouch for you, by the way. But you have a lot of testimonies. I see them on social media. A lot of people speak. Everybody only speaks wonders of you. So,
thank you.
Yes, and everything can be found on your website anyhow, right?
Yeah, there's a few there and on my socials. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Jody, you're a very busy lady, and I'd love to hear, as being a busy lady myself, how do you reconcile being a facilitator, a speaker, a leader, a humanitarian, a girlfriend, while maintaining your positivity and mental sanity? How do you stay grounded, please?
Wow, I love that question. And for sure, I think this is why I vibe with you so much, because a question like that really shows just what's important to you for all these listeners out there, right? It's not just about pushing and the high performance and the getting out there, making our voices get heard, all of that. No, it's how can we live our dream and take awesome action and do that and maintain that groundedness and then have the space, to balance everything. And so number one, I would say nervous system. As we energetically grow and we up level and we give, our nervous system has a certain limit to how much energy we put out. Before, it's really important, if people want to hear that metaphor again, like fill the cup, right? We can't give if we haven't got a cup that's full. In a very physiological and biological kind of standpoint, it's our nervous system becoming over agitated, if I put it in simple words. And so for me, I know if I'm in a state of doing a lot of things and doing balancing different projects and different launches and speaking engagements, I will make more time in my schedule to just be. More time in my schedule to meditate, to do breath work. I'm a qualified breath work instructor. I'm actually going to be up leveling my skills on that too. And I'm doing this work because I believe if we can constantly give space to release the tension, to release the emotions that are needing to be released, to give space to feel everything when we're needing to feel it, then we are all able to up level so much more quickly. It's when we push the emotion down. It's when we resist the emotion. It's when we resist the stopping and the being with ourselves that we reach burnout. We reach overwhelm. We hit a wall and nothing seems to work no matter how hard we push. But I believe if we come back home to our childlike state where we can just release anything that comes up and we're flowing, we're letting it out when it's needed, then the sky's the limit. We're constantly going to keep on opening space for that next level and the next level and the next level. And I think that's why a lot of people come to me and they go, how do you get results that quickly? How do you just make these things happen? It's like, well, I'm not doing it out of the masculine push. I'm doing it out of feminine connection. And every man out there, every woman out there, we both have the masculine and the feminine energy. And we've got to bring that feminine energy back and hold ourselves. And so that would be a big recommendation for everyone, is to keep giving space to be rather than just doing. Yeah.
Oh. Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm taking a lot of notes. My goodness, nothing but you're spitting out the gems, eh, Jody? That's all that ever comes out of your mouth. Yeah, you're full of wisdom, honestly.
Thank you. All the wisdom. Love that visual.
Yes. Okay. I know some people don't like this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What is the next step for Jody Dontje, please?
So what is my next step? Well, my next step, this launch is my baby right now. I can't wait to launch this. It's called The Alchemy of Speaking and Abundance. And it's a whole new level of manifestation and energy to be able to create abundance in an easy and flowing way. I truly believe, having experienced both sides of the pendulum, that we can have it all in life without guilt, and we can give from that state of enoughness and having it all, and do that with so much more flow and ease than we were maybe taught in our society of the hustle pushing culture. And so what's next for me is to keep on up leveling energetically myself, and with my tools around, I'm going to become a next level breathwork instructor as well. I'm going to keep on developing my tools in my toolkit. And so I'm going to keep doing that so that when I launch this beautiful container for the 10 to 14 women, they are going to be supported beyond anything I could have dreamed of. I'm just going to give absolutely everything. And I often do anyway in my voice program. It's just going to be more around the focus of abundance and the focus of successful, purposeful driven businesses and lives. And so for me, that is, I'm getting my energy behind that. I'm connecting to those women in my mind. I mean, I just rebranded a few days ago, as you saw on the socials. I love your support. You're beautiful. And Yeah, I rebranded, and I already have 5 ladies who are like in, and there's a few others I'm talking to and coming in and having discussions. And I'm not doing any push around that. I'm just sharing the new branding, the new message out there, and I'm just being open to receiving any woman that gets called into that, and then I'll serve from that heart space. And yeah, that's my baby now. I'll be focusing on that for the next little while, and yeah, very passionate about it.
All the love and positivity sent your way, Jody.
Thank you.
Definitely. It's beautiful what you, and I really believe in your attitude of service, and anyone who is truly happy in life, I find, and who really found the purpose. Yeah, you want to pour into people, and that's clearly what you're doing with everything that you do. So thank you for that. Thank you for spreading the love.
Oh, most welcome. It's a joy. It's a joy.
Yes, the world really needs more people like you. So
thank you, Patricia, and you, lovely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And
I'm just happy to be in your atmosphere in your space with you. And thank you. And finally, if someone in the audience would like to reach out to you for your coaching services, workshops, or for you to deliver a keynote address, or just to follow you to get more of your light, what is the best way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm all about conversation. So people are welcome to reach out to me on a few platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn. I've just restarted my Instagram as well. So the Instagram, or on my website, which is jodydontje.com. And they're welcome to just start a conversation and see where I can point them in the right direction. Perhaps if I'm not a match, or if I'm an energetic match, then amazing. We can have a chat about that and see how, that aligns as well. I put a lot of content and value out there on my website and on my Facebook and LinkedIn, especially as well, and soon Instagram. So yeah, if anyone just wants to gain growth and stuff I have out there, I've got free stuff, I've got really affordable stuff. So yeah, they can enjoy that and grow. I'm all about that.
Yay. Wonderful. Great. So let me share my main takeaways with you. I've been taking notes. So in case you haven't, I took the notes for you. You can be anyone you want to be. You can have it all in life. The 3 best tips that she shared: number 1, be clear on your own values. Authenticity is key. And keep a vision of the type of world that you want to live in. Number 2, keep a contribution mindset and an attitude of service. Give something new to people. And number 3, oh, that was so good. Bring humanity back. The emotional intimacy and intelligence and the connection. Power of human connection, active listening. Oh, tip for speakers: do not preach. Use storytelling to connect. Share your own transformation journey. And gratitude fuels happiness. There are a lot of things about gratitude, but just gratitude. Make sure that you keep an attitude of gratitude. Come home to yourself, to your inner child. Get a coach or a mentor, please. They've done it. They can help you get there way faster than you can do it on your own. Okay, what is it costing you not to get help? And definitely fill up your cup. It's all about the nervous system. Take time to just be, not do, just be. Whether it's meditating, breath work, praying, just release the emotions, create space to avoid burnout. And finally, bring back your feminine energy. There's a lot more. You have to just really listen to the video again.
Wow, you did so well. That was amazing. Thank you so much for being so present. I loved hearing all that back.
There was so much goodness. I had to share. We have to recap. So are there any parting words or last story you'd like to share with us, Jody, before we leave?
Look, I just want to share you. If any of you are watching your idols or the people that inspire you online, you're thinking, oh, they were just born like that, or all of that. Often look at the stories, look at their upbringings. You'll find that success, fulfillment, purpose, mission, all these people that you admire, there is no socioeconomic status that has to be to equal that. There's no particular background. There's no particular, ethnicity or country. Magic is born from anywhere. We all are magic, and we all are creators of what we desire. And so my message here is, if I can be that scared little girl in class, scared to put her hand up, feeling like she doesn't belong, to bloody reaching the 28 speakers of the world, you know, being able to share a message with thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And like, I wasn't born with this gift to do that. I found that by learning to create myself into my potential, coming back home to the essence of who I was. And that's what I want for everyone. So come home to yourself and who you truly are, lead from that space of authenticity, and trust that you are worthy of, you are enough to be able to hold that speaker, leader, and human success that you're desiring. You got this.
Ah, what a pleasure. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure talking to you as usual. And thank you for your time, Jody. And dear friend, thank you for watching. I hope you're feeling empowered to go conquer the world. I know I am. And don't hesitate to leave us comments below on what impacted or moved you the most during this interview. And I will leave you with this. The power of your voice can change the world. Find it and use it. See you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.